On October 26, 1923, the front page of the Globe newspaper announced that the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine was awarded for the discovery of insulin. The award was to be shared by Dr. Frederick G. Banting and Dr. J.J.R. Macleod. Shortly after the Nobel Prize announcement, Banting committed to sharing his half of the prize with Charles Best, and Macleod shared his half with Dr. J.B. Collip. To celebrate the Nobel Prize honor, the University of Toronto held a special banquet on November 26, 1923. Fast forward a century plus a day to November 27, 2023, to a special event organized by the Toronto Medical Historical Club. It was the result of the vision and determination of Dr. John Dirks, who has had a distinguished career in medicine and a long interest in the history of the insulin discovery. As Dean of Medicine at the University of Toronto, he oversaw the naming of the Macleod Auditorium in honor of J.J.R. Macleod in 1990. Dr. Dirks, together with Gary Goldberg, spearheaded the drive to commemorate this important centenary. In 2 short months, they brought together an organizing committee, gained the support of generous sponsors and key allies, and put together a program of eminent speakers. The celebrations actually began on the evening of November 26th with a speaker's dinner at the Royal Sonesta Hotel. November 27th began with an open house at the Fisher Rare Book Library, showcasing the rich archival collection documenting the discovery and early development of insulin. The day continued with a symposium at the Campbell Conference Facility, featuring several speakers reflecting on the history of the Nobel Prize for the discovery of insulin and the future of diabetes research. The 100th anniversary dinner celebrating the Nobel Prize for the discovery of insulin took place at the University of Toronto Faculty Club. Speakers and special guests were invited to share their thoughts and perspectives on the discovery of insulin and the significance of the Nobel Prize, historically, personally, and with respect to the future of diabetes research.
I'm John Dirks. I'm a physician here in Toronto who had a long career in medicine, various fields, and also my later years have got into develop a stronger interest in medical history. Michael Bliss was a friend of mine and our family from starting around 1990, and we had a close association until unfortunately he passed away. So that, among other things, sparked an interest in the medical history, and particularly into his delving into who did what in 1920s, with highlighted by the discovery of insulin, which I had read, of course. But to step further forward, I've maintained an interest in all this with many discussions with Michael and reading all the papers. And very clearly, Michael corrected the story as to who did what in 1923 and really resuscitated, as it was, J.J.R. Macleod as the principal person by really establishing the framework that nothing could have been done without an authority in carbohydrate metabolism present. But particularly important to me now in recent years was to keep this going. And I only wish that Michael was still here.
I'm Dr. Ken McCarty, and I come from Aberdeen in Scotland, which is where Macleod was educated, both at the same school as me, Aberdeen Grammar School, and later at the same university medical school as I attended. I went on to become a diabetes specialist and always had the luxury of insulin being available to use throughout my career. But it was quite fascinating to find the local links to the story of how insulin had come about and how our locally educated man, J.J.R. Macleod, had been head of the department at the University of Toronto when the discovery of clinically useful insulin was made in early 1922. And my predecessor in my consultant post, who was also one of my tutors and my trainer as a postgraduate, he, under the influence of Michael Bliss, proceeded to write a biography of Macleod, and I was certainly one of his proofreaders throughout that process. So I've known a lot about Macleod's story for quite a long time, although most people in Aberdeen have not heard of him, and we've been trying to re-educate them on that. And the great project that recently came to fruition was the building of a statue of Macleod in a park in Aberdeen, which people have been coming to visit in great numbers in the last few weeks. So I'm particularly excited, to have the chance to find out more about the story and to share views with others, and to state Macleod's case for his tremendous involvement on the Nobel Prize in 1923.
My name is Jim Wright. I'm a pathologist, retired pediatric perinatal pathologist at University of Calgary. My interest in the history of insulin arises from having done diabetes research for most of my life. During COVID, I got bored and started writing insulin history papers again because it was approaching the centenary of the discovery. And Liz Bliss read one of those and introduced me to John, and that's how I ended up as a speaker at the conference a year and a half ago, and got invited back again for the centenary of the Nobel Prize.
I had the privilege of working with the Nobel Committee for more than 20 years, actually, at the Karolinska Institute. Without going to the rest of my career, I was responsible for the Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences also as a permanent secretary. And now I have my office at the Academy. And I've taken advantage of this 50-year secrecy. I should add to this, it's a privilege to come here and to be a part of this celebration, because I think it is important to celebrate the first Nobel Prize given to a Canadian citizen. And it is a major discovery that has had enormous benefit to mankind. That is the expression that Alfred Nobel uses in his will.
My name is Grant Malmont, and I'm the curator at Banting House National Historic Site of Canada, the birthplace of insulin, located in London, Ontario. I'm really excited to be here today to participate in this 100th anniversary of the Nobel Prize in Physiology and Medicine award to Banting and J.J.R. Macleod. Well, today it's really fascinating to go through the collection at the Fisher Rare Book Library. It's such a vast collection of the stories.
My name is Patricia Brubaker. I'm a professor emerita of the departments of Physiology and Medicine. Of course, the two departments where insulin was initially discovered and then used in clinical practice 100 years ago. And so I have devoted my life to a career of studying diabetes. And part of the reason is that when I was a new PhD student, I unexpectedly developed type 1 diabetes myself. So I'm one of the beneficiaries of this amazing discovery of insulin, which in fact keeps me alive to this very day. So I'm really delighted to be able to contribute to the celebration of the centenary of this amazing discovery. It has cured diabetes? No, absolutely not. But millions of people around the world are treated now with insulin, kept alive because of insulin, and have remarkably healthy, productive lives because of insulin.
My name is Peter Coppola. I am the secretary, and I'm the Toronto Medical Historical Club and have been for almost 20 years. I'm a physician by training and only an amateur historian, but I love taking part in the meetings. Our event here, I send the invoices and sign the checks. So that's my biggest role.
My name is Gillian Hawker. I'm the chair of the Department of Medicine here at the University of Toronto. I'm not a diabetes researcher, but I get to oversee this incredible Department of Medicine, which, along with physiology, was critical to making the whole insulin discovery story happen. And we have benefited tremendously for over 100 years now with this rich history that has propagated really a huge multidisciplinary team of people working right across U of T in research related to diabetes, and a new era now looking really at preventing type 2 diabetes outcomes out in the communities.
My name is Dr. Lorraine Lipscomb. I am a professor of medicine at the University of Toronto, as well as clinician scientist. So not only do I do research in the area of diabetes epidemiology and health services, but I also take care of patients who have diabetes, both type 1 and type 2. So I'm very intimately aware of the amazing and transformational impact that the discovery of insulin has had on patients living with diabetes. And I'm very honored to be here today and take part in this really important symposium to celebrate this legacy.
So my name is Jesse Davidson, and I have an 8-year-old son who is a type 1 diabetic. And I'm fascinated by this story of the discovery of insulin and have been for quite a few years now. And it's something that's very emotional to me. I mean, I think about my son, and he's only alive today because of the discovery of insulin. It's a remarkable achievement, and I'm very proud as a Canadian, as a Torontonian.
Art MacDonald. I'm an emeritus professor at Queen's University in Kingston, and 2015 winner of the Nobel Prize in Physics. Well, I'm here for two reasons. First of all, to honor another Nobel Prize winner. Banting and Macleod did wonderful things that have benefited me personally, because I have a son and a step-grandson who have had juvenile diabetes. My son has had it for about 35 years and had a very successful career as a result, and still doing well. My grandson developed it at age 3 and is now a policeman at age 22, again, due to the wonders of insulin. So we had a fascinating program this afternoon. I learned a lot.
I am Signe Bergstaller. I'm the ambassador of Sweden to Canada, and it gives me a great pleasure to be here today to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the discovery of insulin, a very remarkable discovery that was also awarded by the Nobel Prize for either medicine or physiology in 1923. As you know, the Nobel Prize is named after Alfred Nobel, a Swedish scientist, and every year the Nobel Prize is awarded to the most important discoveries that serves humanity in various subjects. And not only is this the 100th anniversary to mark this particular discovery, but it was also the first time a Canadian was also awarded the Nobel Prize. So there are many reasons to be here today.
So my name is Karina Beck, and I'm the Consul General and Trade Commissioner for Denmark here in Toronto. I have the pleasure of representing Denmark in the event, and Denmark and Canada, of course, shares a strong connection when it comes to the discovery of insulin and the chapter that followed, the researchers that we learned so much about this evening. The commercialization, of course, is where Denmark has played a role, but we fully understand and commit to the discovery of insulin here in Canada. It's been really wonderful to actually get the full breadth of the collaborative effort that it actually took to bring insulin to the world.
Bringing people together to celebrate, I think, is critical. We often forget our history. So I hope that this centenary event and what we're doing here this very day, to see these archives, to have a symposium that goes over the advances that occurred at that time and the advances that then served as a platform for the insulin molecule over the next 100 years. A great story for then and now. And I hope that this very evening, the 100 people will gather in the faculty club to drink a draft to Macleod and Banting because they deserve the Nobel Prize. We'll have a joyous time, and I'll spread the message of what was correct. And I hope that in my remaining years I will have an opportunity when there is a statuary somewhere here in downtown Toronto that brings the four co-discoverers together, now happily at peace with each other, and talk about what happened in the old times and how pleasing it is to observe from somewhere that all these great advances have taken place, but it's still an important question as it is then. We can treat diabetes. How do we cure it in the first place?
I have said it 100 times, like a broken record, but while we have better insulin today, we still don't have anything better than insulin, and that's why it's so important to commemorate this great achievement that continues to affect the world. At the museum, we get visitors from around the world where we hear words like pilgrimage or diabetes mecca, where people come to see where the origin of their life-saving medicine began. And I think as we just discuss this anniversary, sort of the conclusion of Insulin 100, I think in a lot of ways they're the real legacy of the discovery of insulin and the award of the Nobel Prize. This great achievement, this great Canadian achievement, saves the world. It changed the world and continues to change the world to this day.